Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Tried and Tested podcast. I am your host, Tracy, and if you're not familiar with this show, this is a dating and relationship podcast that we talk about everything that we go through as single people, as people who are almost engaged, and we also have married people as well. But we talk about all the topics that we in society go through on a regular basis, whether it's who pays for the first date, if women should pay first, et cetera, et cetera. So, anywho, today we have a special guest. We have my girl Denise. Hey Denise.
Hello, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. So your topic today is going to be insecurity.
Yeah.
And it's going to be insecurity whether it's within yourself or with the partner, like someone that you're dating currently or in a relationship with. So before we begin, what is your relationship status? Are you single, in a relationship, or married?
I am single.
Okay. All right. So, what would you describe as insecurity in a person, in an individual?
Okay, so when I hear that word, the word insecurity, I think of someone that whether they have like low confidence or they don't feel secure in certain areas about themselves, and even sometimes they just have like low self-esteem.
Okay. All right. So, do you feel like insecurity in yourself? Do you feel like it's the same thing as insecurity in a relationship? Or if not, how would you describe insecurity in a relationship?
I mean, I feel like it can definitely go into the relationship. Like if you, let's say if you feel insecure about your weight, when you get married, depending on, you know what I mean? Like when you're intimate with someone, you might not want to expose yourself in certain ways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I would say that I define insecurity as anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything that
Yes.
you kind of focus on more than you should. So I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like we breathe normally. We don't think about it. It's just like a second nature, like it is what it
Yes.
is. But I think that insecurity is whatever is within you that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's the way that you talk, whether it's your height, the way that you look,
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
eyes, your nose, things that maybe as kids people made fun of us about and things like that. So that's what I
Yes.
would define like myself as insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about insecurity in a relationship, I don't know, immediately I think of men or women who they are like too protective.
Hmm.
They're too like, it's like they they're fearful. So I guess
Yeah.
that way, like I feel like I kind of see them a little different because I feel like insecurity in a relationship, you're fearful of what's gonna happen. They're gonna leave you, they're gonna cheat on you, they like your friend, they're smiling too
Mm-hmm.
much at people. So that's what I
No,
kind of see.
that's no, that's very true. No, that's very, very, very true.
Mm. So do you feel like, I mean, I guess I just kind of described it here. You feel like they're the same kind of thing, but I guess they're not the same thing. But I guess so you're talk a little bit more about your personal insecurities affecting your relationship. Like how do you think that goes?
Um, okay. I'm trying to think of like a situation. So, I mean, as far as like, I know, like, okay, I can say this. I've dated an insecure man, and it affected the relationship in the sense where, um, like, um, like just like how you were describing how the person behaved, how they would talk, they would always compare things a lot, you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
pinpoint on certain things, or like highlight
Mhm.
certain things that really, in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is not really, you know what I mean, like a big deal.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing this up?
Mm-hmm.
And that really affected the relationship too, because it also caused me to become insecure as well, because it's like you start to feel like, okay, wait, is there something wrong with me? Like, like it's like you're trying to correct what they're bringing up in order to make them feel better.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that that's a good example of how insecurity is formed. I know earlier I mentioned like when you're a child, but even like in your relationships, of course, it's like if somebody repeats something to you over
Yes.
and over, even sometimes just one time. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was reading a blog or something and a girl was saying that the guy that she was dating, he told her that her breasts are like saggy. And she was like, she never knew that. Like, and I think that from
See
that
what I'm
moment,
talking about? Yeah.
yeah, from him just saying it one time, it's like now, after all these years of being on this earth, now you're like, oh wait, like my breasts are sagging. And mind you, you've had them. You know what I'm saying? Like you see
Exactly.
them. So yeah, I think insecurity is formed by people not even allowing, because like I said,
Opinions. Yeah.
yeah, opinions, but sometimes repetitive opinions. You know what I mean? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people who they have insecurity with their weight, whether they're too skinny or too big, but that
Yes.
normally comes from the opinions of others, and they
Yes.
say it over and over, and they may be joking, but now the insecurity creates an issue. So that's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Yep.
also I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's been instances in relationships of insecurity, but I know there's a guy I met many years ago, and I think like he was a nice guy, like like really cool, really and he would always wear a hat, and I'm like, why does he always wear a hat? Like he's a good looking guy, like he can dress all of that,
Yes.
and then I started to see like when he would take off the hat, like the way his head was shaped. That's why he always wore a hat. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's like an example of insecurity in men. And so therefore I think that if you are dealing with that, because people are rude, they make fun of you, they say all sorts of things.
Oh,
And so I
absolutely.
think that with that, now it's insecurity in dating, because whoever you try to talk to, you want them to like you before you take off your hat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even like I remember one time one of my friends was informing, like she was telling me how she felt insecure about like her voice, her tone of voice, and I was like, in my mind I was like, this is so random, like who, not knowing, because a guy was like, oh, like had told her, oh, she sounds like something, and it really bothered her, so she didn't feel comfortable, like whether I don't like. For me, when she told me that, I was really confused. Yes, like speaking or just like having like long conversations and stuff. And I'm looking at her like, it's really not that serious. Like, what can you do? It's your voice.
Yeah. No, I mean, but like I said, and usually I would say that whatever it is that you're insecure about, it's typically something that you cannot change immediately.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you cannot change it. And with her voice, like, yeah, that one, I feel like, I mean, we know that there are men out there who can change their voice, but when they get upset, like, the real voice comes back.
Exactly. It gets mad deep.
It's definitely interesting. So, okay, what is your definition of confidence?
Oh, someone who's secure in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like the perfect way to describe someone who's confident. They're very secure in who they are and in themselves.
So like the opposite of insecure.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So do you feel like with confidence, it's the same thing? Like I feel like with insecurity, you're insecure about certain things. Do you feel like you can be confident about certain things and insecure about others?
That's a very good question. I would say yes, but then I feel like over time it would definitely affect your confidence. You know what I mean? Like for example,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, how you had brought up the young lady with, I guess, quote unquote, how her man told her she has sagging breasts. She's probably now she doesn't feel confident about wearing certain outfits, or even, you know what I mean? Like, or even depending if she's going somewhere, if she doesn't have the right outfit, she probably doesn't want to go. It all boils down to confidence. So that even affects how you dress, how you appear to others, or whether or not you're going to go out.
Okay. All right. And so with confidence, the funny thing about it is I do kind of believe it's similar to like being the opposite of insecure. It may not be, I haven't looked it up in the dictionary. But I think that it's so interesting because I feel like with confidence and with insecurity, you can have two people that look the exact same way, but it just is like one person views themselves as this and one person views themselves as that.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that like the insecure person can actually physically be more physically attractive than and the confident person can be less physically attractive, but the confident person is going to be the one to actually get get the guy or get the girl.
Exactly, because it's all about like I guess your approach and what's the word that I want to use? I don't know if it's like aura or your demeanor, how you know what I mean? Like just because when you feel confident, it's like you stand up straight. You
People
I don't know
feel
how to
free
describe.
around you too.
Yes, you feel, yes,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
because no, I don't think any man or any woman wants to sit around and be like, hey, I really
And
like,
people
like,
sense that. Yep.
yeah, they don't want to have to keep encouraging you and making you feel better, and it becomes like a dampening, like you
Yeah.
don't like the atmosphere is just not the same anymore. You're not having a good time
Mhm.
because and I've been around, like I said, I'm thinking about like people like males and females. Oh my God, do I look too fat? Do I look this? Do I look that? And they're not comfortable just kind of like just being, just
Being them.
enjoying. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And to me, honest, like being around that environment, to me, I'm like, it actually drains you because it's like
yeah.
the person is always complaining, pointing out to
Mm-hmm.
things. It's like they want to hide. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? It's really not like, come on.
And I think insecurity in dating as well is when somebody always wants to be around you. And that can also be in
Mm.
friendship too. I think
Yes.
friendship or relationship, I mean, you should be friends with your partner, but I think that whenever you have people who cannot leave your side, even if it's your parents, like parents and kids, like not even kids, but like you could be 30 years old and but when you're with your parent, you're always like trying to be up under them.
Like that. Yeah. It's like that form of like attachment. So it's like,
Yeah.
where is it coming from? Like,
Yeah.
why do you not like being alone? Is there
Yeah.
like a specific issue? I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I think that definitely is a form of insecurity where it's like you're not able to function on your own, or when you
Mm-hmm.
find someone that makes you comfortable, you can't separate from that. So that's definitely like, very interesting when it comes to that.
Yes.
Let me see. So how do you feel like insecurity can affect the relationship? So if you got like there's two people, they're together, they're dating, and you have insecurities. Obviously, some are greater than others. But how do you
Mm-hmm.
think what effects and what strains does it put on a relationship?
Oh, just like what do you call it? Just as I had mentioned before, it's like the environment. You know what I mean? Like it just drains you. It always like how do I want to describe it? It's for me personally, I just feel like it's draining. Like you don't like being around someone that's insecure, or even when you have certain types of like insecurities, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can't really be yourself. So therefore you can't really open up. Like you're always wondering, oh, how is this person going to view me? Do I look
Mm-hmm.
okay? It's like you always want to hide behind something. So in a
Okay.
relationship, for me personally, I just feel like it's extremely draining because you can't just be yourself. And not even
Yeah.
that, but then it's like you can't really open up to that individual because it's like, oh, they might behave a certain way, or they might take it a certain way, or whatever it may be.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it can really take the happiness and the joy out of the relationship because I think
Yeah.
that the insecurities now make you believe that others are better than you, and then you feel like your partner is cheating. Like
Mm-hmm.
women can accuse the man or the man can accuse the woman, oh, you like him, don't you? I saw you smile at him. I saw you like his hair better than me. Like, and so I think that it can definitely cause a lot of chaos in a relationship. It can cause
Yes.
a lot of confusion for sure. So,
It's like there's always some kind of issue when
mhm,
I feel like in a relationship it shouldn't be that way. Yes, there could be challenges. Yes, you might
mhm,
have some form of disagreements, but I always say, I was like, when two people who are confident and secure come together, you notice it. Like you could
yeah,
tell the difference.
yeah. And I think, I mean, I would say that I think that we all have some form of insecurity. So who do you think is responsible to fix their insecurity and how?
Oh, that individual. Like if I'm insecure, it's up to,
Mm-hmm,
I can't put that on my spouse. I can't put that on
mm-hmm,
my partner because it has nothing to do with them. This is something that I'm dealing with, whether eternally, mentally, physically, whatever it is. It's like
yeah,
something that I have to overcome. So putting that burden or putting that thing upon like my partner, that's not right.
okay. So how do you suggest, so first of all, I would say, so do you think that if you know you suffer from insecurities to not yet get into a relationship?
I feel like it depends on what type of, like, if you're insecure about the size of your feet,
Mm-hmm.
like at the end of the day, girl, you got big feet. It is what it is. Just
Yeah,
move on. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
can't. That's not something you can fix.
Yeah, even
Um.
height. Women who are tall or men who are short. That's a huge one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's like a
it's a
big
huge
thing.
one. Yeah.
But my whole thing is, you're going to find someone that's going to love you for who you are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that type of insecurity, it's like, let's be realistic. Is this something that I can really fix? No.
Mm-hmm.
I need to love who I am. I need to accept who I am and just, you know what I mean? Like, go, like overcome it. And it's funny how I had mentioned the fit, because when I was younger, I used to get teased a lot. I actually have very big feet. I'm a size 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So imagine being in middle school or elementary and you being made fun of. And I used to stop. I remember there was a time, like a season of my life where I stopped wearing like open toe shoes or sandals and flats and everything. But then I got to a point in life where I was like, can I really change this? No. Like, I'm stuck with this feet for the rest of my foot is
forever.
It's forever. Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna be a size 10 no matter what. So at the end of the day, let me just make sure my toes look cute and wear any type of shoe that I want to wear. And I got over it. So I feel like it's just working on that thing that makes you insecure, just working on it and being able to overcome it.
So this is a random a fact. So I years ago I learned that they in China, somewhere in Asia, I don't want to say China, they bind their feet. They bind their feet to make their feet smaller.
Yep.
And to the point that they can't even walk anymore. And it's like, so that to me is absurd. Like who has these standards of beauty? Like, I would rather walk with a size 15 foot, you know what I'm saying, than to not be able to have size feet. Like, it's crazy. But,
exactly. But it just shows you like the extremes that people go into because of their insecurities. Exactly.
And cultures too, yeah.
And that's another, and it's funny how you're bringing up culture, because that's another thing that can also bring up insecurities. Depending on the culture that you come from, they could pinpoint on certain things. And even though you're very confident, because it's constantly mentioned, you start to focus on that particular thing, and then you start to build insecurity.
Yeah. And I think so obviously we're in a day and age now that is much different than when we grew up, where I feel like even when we were younger, I still feel like there has to be certain things when it comes to people's physical appearance. I think that if you're not actually helping, you should say it in a way, or don't say it at all. Like, you should say it in a respectful way, because I feel like that's what happens. Kids begin, like, these insecurities are not formed overnight. They're formed from when you are a child, which is what I mentioned in the beginning, because a lot of us, we wouldn't care about anything if nobody said it, right?
That's true.
And so it's kind of like then people begin to obsess over it. It becomes a lifelong battle, for whatever it may be. Oh my God, my eyes are too big. You know what I mean? And of course, when you're younger, you can't hide anything because we're young. Like, we were under our parents' tutelage and whatnot. Yes. And so therefore you can't wear makeup. You can't wear, this, that, and the third.
You can't hide it.
Yeah, my breasts are flat. Like, people try to stuff their, their bras with tissue. So there's a lot, but I just wish that I think that the importance of just loving and letting people love who they are. You know what I mean? Because you see people and I think it really is about upbringing more, as I think about it, because you see people who are probably the opposite of what the normal beauty standard is. Yes. And they have more self-confidence than the people that, you would expect to be like the cookie cutter human being. You know what I mean? But it depends, I think, on how you were raised. If your family's with you, like I'm saying, they holding it down, like, yeah, I look good. I don't care if I'm, 4'2" or if I'm 700 pounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people, so it really is about that.
Yes, so, yes. And that's a very good point. I remember, or even currently, like in my family growing up, especially like my father's side, they would always compliment like on my complexion. Both my sister and I, they love dark-skinned like women, or not just dark-skinned women in general, but they just love that complexion. So I remember even in high school, when I would hear certain things about dark-skinned people, or even hearing other dark-skinned women who they felt so insecure about their complexion, it would really baffle me, because I was just like I would be like, wait, why? It doesn't make no sense. Like, I get praised all the time. You know what I mean? It's like they built my sister and I up. They're like, no, your complexion is so beautiful. It's so smooth. It's so even. Look how dark you ladies look. So when the outside world would come and be like, oh, wow, you're so dark. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ebony. I love it. I'm even. I got this nice milk chocolate, dark chocolate complexion.
Yeah.
But then the world would try to, you know what I mean? The outside
To
would
do what
try
they know
to.
best.
Exactly. So it definitely stems from home. And it all goes back to like when you're being built up at home, when you go out, or if anyone says anything about it, you're just like, no. Okay, that might be your opinion, but the way I see it, it's definitely opposite. And I love, my complexion, the skin I'm in, whatever.
Definitely. So, I guess before we wrap up, what are some suggestions that you would have, for people who are dealing with insecurities, people who are single, maybe they're getting to know someone or they're getting ready to go into a relationship? Like, how would you suggest they start to work on things effectively to kind of get over these situations where they feel insecure?
I would say definitely work on yourself. Like, try to find like the root, you know what I mean? Like the root cause of that insecurity, and definitely overcome it. Because especially going into a relationship, whether you're insecure of your size, whether your complexion, or whatever, like your breast or butt, whatever it is something that you just have to work on and be like overcome it and be secure in who you are. Because one thing I know is that your better half, they're not going to be able to fix that. They'll be encouraging, especially if you find a good man or a good woman. They're going to encourage you and be like, no, I love you for who you are. Or, I like your size the way that you are. I love your complexion. But it's not up to them to fix you. It's not up to them to make you secure. So that's something I would definitely say, use this time to definitely overcome any form of insecurities. Like if it's something that you can, actually, let me be very careful with that statement. Because I don't want to say, so that you can fix. No, I would say definitely take that time to love who you are and just be like, be confident, be secure, and be okay with who you are. You know what I mean? Because once you're confident, your partner is going to see that. And even if they try to bring it up, you'll be like, excuse me, you could shut it down real quick and be like, no, sir, or no, ma'am. This is how I am.
Well, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much for the insight. I mean, this I think is a big issue. I think that people are suffering from in relationships, and so I think it's really good to address it. I would also say for some people, get first of all, be self-aware, right?
Yes.
And also like ask your friends and family. I mean, hopefully you have friends and family who are actually going to be real with you. I know some people have friends who can't tell them the truth, but and then I would say seek counseling as well. Like some of these situations, if you have been dealing with it for 20, 30 years, you need to like unpack. You need to kind of
get to the root cause. Yep.
Yeah, you need to really find out, because if you, like I said, if you're dating, and sometimes insecurity can break up the relationship before you make it to marriage. You can really exhaust this person, and with the patterns that you have that are bad, and that can really make things go left. So,
that's definitely true. And then it also goes back to, even if your other partner is very is insecure, you need to be mindful. As stated, you can't fix them. And that's something that they have to get to terms with. So I always say, I'm like, if the person is extremely insecure that is affecting you and your relationship, you need to get out, especially before you get to that marriage part, because they got to work on themselves.
Yeah, well, this is fact. Well, I mean, thank you so much for joining this episode. Before we get off, where can anyone find you? If somebody wants to find you after this podcast, on social media, where can they find you?
Yes. So I am on Instagram. My personal page is I am Denise O. I am DENISE O. So that's on Instagram. That is my handle. So you're welcome to follow me there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And to my listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.